Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another predictions video, and in today's video I'm going to be predicting the Janibek versus Mikhailovich fight. And so if you are new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Love it if you do need like video, and let's get straight into it. So going into this fight, Janibek is 15-0 with 10 KOs and Mikhailovich is 21-0 with 13 KOs. This fight is for the IBF and WBO World Middleweight titles. Mikhailovich's last fight was a win via TKO in round 1 versus Sherrington, and Janibek's last fight was a win via TKO in round 6 versus Gualtieri. Janibek is 31 and Mikhailovich is 26. Janibek is a southpaw. This is his first time fighting outside of Australia. And to speak a bit more about what I've just been saying, like I said, 2 belts on the line, both of Janibek's belts, yet again defending against one of the top contenders in the division. I have a lot of respect for just what he's been doing in the way of like consistently defending against the best contenders around in the division, because at the moment, as everybody kind of knows, the middleweight division is quite weak at the moment, and Janibek is probably the biggest name going in the middleweight division currently, and the biggest draw in the middleweight division in my opinion. And so I respect him for just wanting to keep active and keep fighting, and even against fighters who don't really have a name and haven't really achieved too much in their careers so far. If they're worthy of a shot and if they're in a high enough ranking in the body to deserve a shot, then he's giving them a shot. And like I said, I have a lot of respect for that. I mean, to be fair, at the end of the day, he's still like 15-0. It's not exactly like he's got loads of professional experience, so it makes sense that he's still wanting to keep continually progressing with each fight. And even though they are really tough opposition that he's in against, he's not too desperate to be quickly trying to call out all the big names and jump up multiple weight divisions or anything like that, which is something which is nice to see. Last time out for Mikhailovich, TKO round 1 Sherrington. It was a good TKO. To be honest, I'm surprised that Mikhailovich doesn't get more stoppages. He looks quite physically strong and powerful, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, but I'm not sure. He just doesn't seem to get, he gets a decent amount, but he doesn't seem to get as many as I thought on paper he would. But last time out, it was against a much lesser opponent, and he made easy work of it, which is what you want to be doing against these lesser opponents. You don't want to be going in there maybe scared of losing or just reluctant to do anything because you're maybe thinking, oh, I can get caught with a shot here and then that's my big opportunity gone. He wasn't doing that, which was nice. And he went and got the stoppage, and that's all you have to do really. But before that, he was in a real kind of war type fight where he had to show a lot of heart and really dig deep. So to an extent, I'm not surprised that he wanted maybe a bit of a step back in opponent, but also at the same time, maybe opportunities weren't coming. Maybe he was waiting around for this Janibek fight. Maybe he just wanted to keep active. Probably was a mix of all three of them things, to be completely honest. Last time out, Janibek, though, against Gualtieri, put out another clinical display and got another very good stoppage. And yeah, that was a really good performance. I think in general, that fight, I thought it probably could have been a more tougher fight for Janibek, but Gualtieri was just a bit too defensive. And when I think about possible tough opposition for Janibek and the styles in which he doesn't like, it seems as though Mikhailovich could play into a style in which Janibek might not like, but Gualtieri being that defensive type minded fighter who was just on the back foot and was just inviting Janibek forwards, kind of was inevitable that he was going to be able to get a stoppage, to be honest, Janibek. And in the end, like I said, he did and looked very good doing it. Of course, he is on the bit of the older side, but at the same time, Mikhailovich is going to be coming into this, I'm sure, fired up as ever. And, he always seems really game and fired up for his fights. So this fight, like I say, huge opportunity for him. I'm sure he's going to be more fired up than ever. And Janibek, southpaw, also always plays a factor. And to speak about another fight on this card, it's another decent top ranked card, not too many crazy fights, but a couple of the good names yet again coming through. And this one is the best fight in my opinion on it, and well, probably could be the most contested fight in my opinion on it, and that being Muratalla versus Farmer, in which I think Muratalla will win via unanimous decision. I think this is an excellent fight, to be completely honest. I mean, Farmer has been around the sport for a while, he's fought at a top level for a while, and he's shown what he can do, and he's shown that he is an excellent fighter. And to be fair for Muratala, this is a step up for him. This is a big step up in my opinion. And Farmer obviously hasn't been the most active and hasn't been fighting the best guys as of recent since the loss versus Jojo Diaz, but I still think against Jojo Diaz he didn't look bad. He definitely was still game. It was a very entertaining fight, and so I definitely think this could play out similarly to that Jojo Diaz fight. I think Farmer's going to be coming in very game. I think the defensive movements of the body swivels and the head feints and everything like that, in which Farmer used to possess and used to use, I think they might be slowing down a bit and everything like that. So I think Muratala is just going to be the faster fighter. I think he might fight similarly to Jojo Diaz in their fight and perhaps get caught with quite a few shots, but I think comparing Diaz to Muratala at that point, I think Muratala at the moment is going to be doubling up his shots better. I think he's going to have the quicker reflexes, quicker reactions, overall just be faster and, like I say, pair up the combinations a bit better than that of Diaz. And I still think he'll be able to get caught with shots from Farmer, but I believe, like I say, he'll be able to outwork him and then be able to get a unanimous decision. I don't think he's going to be able to stop him, but I think it'll be an excellent performance from Muratala in the end. And I would like to see Muratala be able to get continual bigger and bigger fights. Hopefully, I don't know if he's going to go into a world title shot for this, but like I said, I would love to just see him keep progressing. It's somebody who I'm a fan of. I like his style, and I think Top Rank are doing a good job with him. But I'll be intrigued to see in this lightweight division, which is doing very well at the moment, how far he can progress. Going back to the main event, though, to speak about Janibek as a fighter, when you're talking about just such excellent fighters, there is only a certain amount that I can say. There's obviously stuff that I'm going to be missing out because of just how good he is, but just to say a few things, he stalks you down excellently. A lot of the time he controls the centre. He is quite a menacing frame. He's just quite a big guy, and he, like I say, stalks you down and really controls that centre of the ring. He has very good punch variation mixed in with great timing as well, and some of the shots that he lands just looks effortless because of just the timing that he throws them with, and like I say, the punch variation and the accuracy, consistent jab, which is really nice to see. When you look at other contenders in the middleweight division, you look at possibly a Hamza Shiraz, and he's somebody who's got an excellent jab as well. So I think if Janibek and Shiraz were to fight, it could be the battle of the jabs, and Shiraz also has really good time as well. So that could make for an excellent fight. And Janibek, consistent jab, which is nice and strong to see. He controls the centre, like I say. He's patient a lot of the time with his work. I think he has become more patient throughout time, which is nice to see. He's not quite as forceful in which he once was against, like I say, Bentley. That's probably where he struggled the most as of recent, and I think he was just trying to force the fight a bit and not picking his shots as nicely as what he sometimes does, and just not being as patient in which he could have done and should have done against somebody like a Bentley, and that's where he got hurt at a little bit at times and struggled a little bit with. But like I say, I feel like as of recent he's looked a lot more patient, and he's a mid-range type fighter. He controls the tempo very well, finds his range excellently. He counters really well, feints really well. I think his feints are improving, and they're something which I think did need work on. And like I say, in his last fight, he was feinting very nicely. He's powerful, a great finisher when he has you hurt. He works the angles really nicely, and I think he has a solid chin as well. I've seen him take a few big shots now, as defensively he's not the most sound, but I've seen him take a few shots now, and I believe he does have a solid chin. Negatives about him, I think in close, I think it's not as, doesn't come as naturally to him. Like I say, if I go back to the Bentley fight again, in close, he seemed to be getting caught with a lot more shots, and his footwork weren't as clean, and he was standing straight on a little bit, and the head movement weren't there. He was leaving gaps a little bit, and so in close I think he was struggling. I think when he gets tied up, I think that's where he can perhaps get a little bit frustrated, or he could perhaps smother his work and just dealing with getting tied up and dealing with getting put in awkward positions, which is a very difficult thing to do. But I mean, against Butler, he got put in a couple of awkward positions when Butler was hurt, and that's when the only time in which Janibek looked a little bit annoyed or anything in that Butler fight. He has sometimes a bit of a lack of bodywork. His bodywork is really nice when he uses it, but I feel like he does lack using it a little bit at times. He he's not always willing to take a backward step, and that's when he can get caught with shots. I don't think he has excellent head movement. Like I say, he can leave gaps open when he's under pressure, and if his game plan fails of just being able to, be in your face, control the centre, pump out the jab, and then be able to time you if you try and make a move. If that game plan fails and you can get in close against him and rough him up and everything like that, I think that's when he's shown now that he does struggle a little bit. And I think Mikhailovich can definitely do that. He can tire, I think, a bit as well, and he can rush in as well. To speak about Mikhailovich as a fighter, obviously he's faced adversity in that second to last fight. I should remember the opponent's name, but I know he was fighting for like the Pan Oceania title, I believe, or Pan Pacific title, and it was a very good fight. But like I say, he's faced that adversity now. He got dropped early on that fight. He weathered the storm, and he managed to come back, and that was really impressive to see. It's something in which I believe every fighter will have to face at some point in their career, and I think often it does help when you do face that early on in their career, because it shows that you can get that mental fortitude and you can push through it. And I don't know, if you just face it when you're really later on in your career, or when you're against a top level, then it's much harder to be able to deal with it, I believe, than when you're against somebody who maybe isn't quite as top tier in which you might future face, if that makes sense. He can fight in close or at a mid range. I think he fights in close well, and he's very physically strong. He's aggressive. He digs deep. He's shown that he can dig deep now. He has good body work. He is willing to put the pressure on. I think he does his best work off the front foot. He has a good work rate as well. He's going to be consistently throwing, and like I say, similar type of style to an extent in which you saw from Denzel Bentley in that fight versus Janibek. Just in your face, aggressive, perhaps goes to the body a little bit more. Mikhailovich in close, and he's just going to continue to throw. Like I say, has that high work rate, lets his hands go. Physically, he's strong, and I think he is definitely going to take the fight to Janibek and not be afraid of him. He lines up his shots relatively nicely, and you can see the kind of oomph in his shots. And when he was against, like I say, in that second to last fight of his, he really kind of dug himself deep and showed that he was throwing everything he had, and you can just hear the aggression coming out of him when he was throwing. And just to be able to go to that dark place and be able to dig deep like that, it was really impressive. Negatives about him, of course, this is a big step up for him, a major step up for him. So this is, underdog mentality. I'm not too sure if he's used to being the underdog like that or not, but he's going to have to get used to it for this fight. He has been dropped in the past, like I said, in that second to last fight, and if he is getting hurt, I don't know how much he was hurt, because, like I said, he was able to weather the storm, and so I don't think he was stupidly hurt, but he did get dropped. And if he's getting dropped against lesser opponents, Janibek, with the power that he possesses and the timing he has, definitely could drop you. I think he has the lesser power. I mean, when I saw him going toe to toe, he looked like he was throwing with aggression, but I just don't know if he has quite the same venom in his shots in which Janibek has. He can stand tall a bit at times. I think his balancing close isn't amazing. He leaves his head on the line. His guard leaves gaps for straight shots, and Janibek loves his straight shots. He, I think, can struggle at a mid-range when he's under pressure at a mid-range especially. I think he can struggle keeping you away from him. I don't think his footwork's excellent. I think he crosses his feet as well, and sometimes he has a lack of a jab. He doesn't really often set up his shots in that way that well using a jab. Janibek is the favourite for this fight, and I think that Janibek will win via TKO in round 7. I believe possibly if this was that earlier version of Janibek who hadn't faced somebody like a Denzel Bentley, I think he did learn an awful lot from that fight, and I think he has improved a lot from that fight, and I just believe that he's going to be able to keep Mikhailovich off of him and put him onto the back foot and be able to use that physical pressure. And even if he does go on to a bit of a toe-to-toe bits at times with Mikhailovich, I think he's strong enough to be able to do that now, to be able to get through that, and he knows what he has to do to be able to deal with that. And like I say, be able to wear him down and then put on some real foot-in shots with them straight shots getting through, and Mikhailovich not that strong of a guard, like I say, and like I said, been dropped as well. And so yeah, in my opinion, it has the makings for him to be able to stop him into round 7. I think Mikhailovich is going to be tough and durable and be able to take some big shots, but I just don't think he's going to be able to take them all. And like I say, Janibek is going to be too much for him. Then who we could go on to fight, like I say, it's difficult at the moment in the middleweight division to make major matchups, and realistically, it wouldn't surprise me if we see Janibek go on to fight another of the top contenders again. But Adamus, of course, WBC champion, and then Lara is the other champion in the division as well. And so you never know, maybe we'll see them. But I think also Puello, no, not Puello, Shiraz versus Denny, sorry, is another good fight which is happening. Like I say, Shiraz could make for a great fight, and you never know, that could be put onto another Riyadh season card and be made into a huge fight then. Or Mosley Jr., he's one of the top contenders around in the division, and he's coming off quite a big win versus Jacobs, so you never know, we could see that happen if, like I say, we just wanted to see Janibek keep continuing fighting top contenders, which wouldn't surprise me at all. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like if you did, like this, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.